Welcome to Knockhill for round 2 of the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. The opening rounds have already taken place at Oulton Park, and here's a brief resume of the action that occurred there. So here we are at Oulton Park for the opening rounds, and the cars are ready to go out for their first qualifying session. None of the champions from last year are here to defend their title, but Rick Styrene returns to the season, this time driving a Porsche 924. It's going to be exciting, and here's a summary of the weekend's events.
With no return for the defending champions, Ed Hayes and Pip Hammond respectively, that means it's open season in the 2018 Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. Taking that opportunity with both hands was Adam Southgate at Oulton Park as he clinched 2 very convincing victories and fastest laps. It was a dominant performance at Oulton Park for the Avis Consulting car.
The car was handling beautifully, the balance was fantastic, so to say thanks to the team, Avis Consulting, for getting the car set up. And yeah, quite an easy march. Had a bit of a play at the end to get a nice fastest lap. Just kind of enjoying myself really, it was good fun.
Jason Flegg took second position in race 1 ahead of Alex Stocker, and it could well have been this man on the podium with them, James Coleman. Although the start at the first race was definitely not his way. Into second until a nudge from behind sent him spinning. No damage for now, and then a big shunt. Major damage for Coleman.
Went in there in second, ended up not continuing, so yeah, too many cars into a small corner I think, so yeah, a bit unfortunate, but we got it back out in the end. So.
In race 2, Coleman saved his weekend with a 3rd place, but Rick Styrene returned to the championship in the 924s, clinching both wins, including his 60th in the championship.
Rick, that was your 60th win in the Porsche Championship. Does that mean you're now finally going to retire?
Yeah, I think so. I feel 60 myself. But joking apart, I really enjoyed that race. I thought David Jones drove very well. The boxers were very exciting, going to make good telly for you guys. And these cars, the 924s are fantastic. Not as quick as the Boxsters, but on a budget, they're great fun.
Well, that's a quick summary of the action here from Oulton Park. It's back to Knockhill, where Jake Sanson will take you through the grid for the first race.
And it's going to be the reverse Knockhill Circuit, even more exciting. Adam Southgate and James Coleman on the front row from Gary Lawrence and Nick Hull. Andrew Porter and Nick Bartz on the 3rd row from Kevin Molyneux and Christian Young, with Kevin Ludford rounding out the Boxsters. Johnson and Waters are on the front row of the 924s, with Carl Rossin and Darren Constant. Not a complete grid in the Porsche Championship here at Knockhill. It is a long way to come, but this reverse circuit configuration is going to be very interesting indeed. Nick Hull, Kevin Molyneux, they have cameras, as too does Adam Southgate at the front. Lights out, let's go racing at Knockhill. Good start by Coleman, he's drawn alongside Southgate early doors. Nick Hull into 3rd position ahead of Gary Lawrence. Really good start here at Knockhill, and already asserting himself at the front. Southgate nips through on the inside of Coleman and takes the lead. Hull in 3rd place. 4th is now Lawrence, he's there on the inside. Bartz is hung out to dry a little bit. Porter's going to try and come through. Bartz gets there though. Molyneux's going to sweep past Andrew Porter. Not a lot of room to negotiate, but he's got through. Nicely done there from Kevin Molyneux. So Andrew Porter chasing him down. We're on board with Coleman. 2nd position, chasing down the race leader Adam Southgate as they come out of Clark's and into the John R. Weir chicane. You usually do that the other way round, of course, but this anti-clockwise configuration of the circuit, just as exciting, if not more so than the regular clockwise direction. It's great that we're doing this in 2018, and the British Racing Sports Car Club embracing it with all arms, as the TCR UK Championship is here with us this weekend, of course, as well. We're the support act, but it's great to see the racing run in reverse here at Knockhill. Always wanted to commentate on a race at the Knockhill Circuit. This is my first time of doing so. Bit of a wayward battle between Johnson and Waters for supremacy in the 924s. They could be the 2 drivers battling for the championship this year as well, although this is Waters' first weekend in the championship. His car was being driven by Rick Styrene last time out, winning his 60th championship race in the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship, albeit in the 924s. And I know he said, well, I think I'm going to retire this time, but I've heard him say that billions of times, and it's never been true. Johnson leading the 924s. We're on board with Philip Waters. Down the straight they come. Into the John R. Weir chicane once again. James Coleman, look, 2 wheels leave the deck each time he goes over the curbs as he chases down Adam Southgate. Nick Hull sensibly and smartly through there in 3rd position at the moment. 4th place, that is Gary Lawrence still, with Nick Bartz and Andrew Porter very close in behind. They come off the final turn. You've got to carry the speed all the way out of Scotsman's corner because you are flat through the Sayat curves. Coleman's going to make a bid for Southgate. Southgate sends him to the right-hand side. That's the best way to defend. And there's not a lot Coleman can do. He can't go right round the outside. There's Nick Hull in 3rd. 4th position, that is Gary Lawrence in front of Bartz and Molyneux. Then it's Porter and Christian Young. We're on board with Philip Waters. He now chases after Gavin Johnson. He again sends Waters to the far side of the circuit. Waters has got good momentum though. He might be able to squeeze him through and take the lead. But we're watching this battle between Lawrence and Bartz. And then we've got this man, Dolly Molly himself, Kevin Molyneux. Almost as good a Dolly Parton tribute act as he is a racing driver, and I'm sure he's going to giggle to the left side of his face when he hears that one, but great to see him there battling away. He really seems to have stepped up the developmental route through Kevin Molyneux this season. He's looking a lot stronger even than he did last year. He's right on the back of Bartz, trying to make his way through. Porter and Young are getting very hungry behind him. So as they come up the Sayat curves once again onto the main straight, this is a good run thus far. And we've got a good clean battle. There's Nick Hull in 3rd position. Then it's Lawrence, Bartz, Molyneux, Porter and Christian Young. 5 drivers then, all battling away over that 4th position. And if anything happens to the 3 men in front, they will pick up the pieces. There goes Porter. Dives down on the inside of Molyneux. Good move from Andrew Porter. He is up into P6 now. And it's all going to be about what Kevin Molyneux can do to recover. Young has got some smoke coming off the car. Molyneux's going straight back on it, on the inside of Andrew Porter, and takes that 6th place back. Really good work there from Dolly Molly. Up into P6 he goes as they go through Clark's. Plenty of curb on the way through. A little bit on the exit just to straighten the car up. Back on the power. And Andrew Porter not close enough to throw it up the inside of the John R. Weir chicane. There's not many people brave enough to throw it up the inside of the John R. Weir chicane, to be fair. It's a really tricky part of the course. He's having a look into Scotsman's. It's not going to happen there. And now as they come back on the power, that's Christian Young in 8th position, but still with a good chance to move forward. He's got the pace this weekend to be in the top 6, and that's only 2 cars in front of him, so Christian Young will keep pushing as they come up over the straight once again, over the crest. And that's where the checkered flag will fly at the end of this race, which is still a good 15 minutes away or so. Good battling this as the number 5, Kevin Molyneux, continues to hold on. We're on board with James Coleman. Oh, that's the first of the traffic, holding up Adam Southgate a little bit, and this is a good chance for Coleman. Can he dive down to the inside? No, Southgate blocks the defenders. We join Darren Constant to watch the action as they go on board into the chicane. That was the best chance yet for James Coleman to get through into the lead. And he's definitely as quick as Adam Southgate. This is not the same display that we saw from Southgate at Oulton Park. This time he's having to be defensive. The advantage he's got is that he's got a wide Porsche, as everybody has. They are plenty full of speed, but there's not a lot of space to manoeuvre. So James Coleman's got to be very particular about how he makes this overtaking move and then hope that it sticks. Once again, Southgate defending beautifully into the real radio hairpin. As they come off the turn, back on the power up towards Hislops. Coleman is going to be working very hard indeed to get past Adam Southgate. Southgate on the right, Coleman on the left, trying to hope that Coleman's got the faster line, but Southgate is just defending, parking that car on the inside line. Don't even try and pass James, I've got this race sorted. And he's got 2 wins out of 2 thus far this season out of Oulton Park. If he keeps this kind of pace up, he could get the hat-trick here at Knockhill. Second round of the championship. Amazing to watch the cars just fly through the John R. Weir chicane. 2 wheels on the deck, 2 on the floor. And it's amazing the kind of power these guys are carrying into the corners. Southgate up the hill at the Sayat curves, charging forward. Good run off the final turn. And then back under the Beatson's Bridge once again onto the main straight. James Coleman still trying to hassle Adam Southgate into a mistake. Southgate is not giving him any chances yet. Coleman gets alongside, pretty much under braking, and now he's trying to cut back for the undercut, but Southgate moves smartly across in time to stop Coleman coming through, and it's pretty much stalemate as a result of that, because Southgate knows exactly where to put the car so that Coleman can't come through. We might have seen a few more battles of this nature at Oulton Park if Coleman hadn't been tapped off at the first corner at Oulton Park. He was Oh, and into the pits, that's Christian Young. I did wonder where he had gone. He's much quicker than this. And sadly, Christian Young, mechanical problems have kept him out of the hunt for third position. That's a real shame, because Young should be in this battle. But mechanical problems have kept him away from it. Here's Kevin Molyneux on the back of Gary Lawrence. Can he go for third position? Lawrence sends him to the right-hand side. Tries to squeeze him in the braking zone. That's perfectly fine in the defence. Molyneux trying to get the undercut. But they're lapping a back marker, so he's moved to cover very well there. There's Philip Waters, leading the 924 battle still. And that's the car, of course, that took 2 victories last time out at Oulton Park. That is a very cool livery that car has got. And Philip Waters running very well in the lead of the battle. On board once again with Nick Hull, who has caught back up to Kevin Molyneux once again. Into the John R. Weir chicane. Plenty of curb through both apexes. Then into Butchers. Lots of curb on the way through. And then into Scotsman's. They're just lapping Kevin Ludford, still getting up to speed with his Boxster. Everybody's got to start somewhere. These guys were lapped in their first few races, don't forget, and now they are at the front end of the field, so keep going, Kevin. Everybody gets up to speed eventually. And I have to say, you're doing a much better job than I would do out there, so fair play. Andrew Porter in the background is not too far away from these guys if something happens, so he could still snatch a decent place at the bitter end. So we'll see how that goes. But we're getting to the closing stages of the race for the leaders. Adam Southgate in front of James Coleman. And to be fair, Coleman has definitely chipped away at that lead for Adam Southgate. But crucially, there is just a handful of laps left. And Adam Southgate looks as though he's got plenty of gap between himself and James Coleman. And after winning both races at Oulton Park, he basically wants to have a similar season to what Ed Hayes had last year, which is win a race, win another race, and then just keep on winning until somebody wrestles it from your cold, dead fingers. That was Ed Hayes' strategy last year, and now Adam Southgate looks to have adopted the same strategy this year. Here's the battle for third place again. Lawrence, Molyneux and Nick Hull. So Molyneux still pushing Gary Lawrence, trying to get him to make a mistake. The percentage is really trying to make sure you intimidate your opponent here, because it's so tight and so narrow. Overtaking opportunities are few and far between in these cars, particularly when you consider that under brakes these cars are really twitchy. So the car tends to drift when you're in the braking zone at full throttle, a couple of inches either way depending on which corner you're going through. James Coleman, 0-0. Dick Dastardly himself in this championship. If you look very closely on the chassis, he tends to have Muttley strapped to it. A fluffy version, obviously, on the roll cage. And then he come down the main straight. I'm getting chassis and roll cages confused. That's why I'm not a racing driver. Into the braking zone for the hairpin as James Coleman once again closes up on Adam Southgate, and absolutely fair play to him. He is chipping away, as we said, at Southgate's lead. It's not as big as it was. Southgate's just pushing as much as possible. He'll be one of the first to admit that this year he really needs to clean up his act, because last year he had some good victories taken away from him just by one or two little errors here or there. In fact, he was still in contention for the championship when he made a mistake at Rockingham, and that was all that Ed Hayes needed to sew the title up. But Adam Southgate has definitely made developmental progress in the winter. He's a much smoother driver, he's a much more precise competitor, he's more calculated, he's more rhythmic, and he's more metronomic, and that's what's going to get you win after win after win in 2018. He's doing a grand job, Adam Southgate, out in front. No major problems or difficulties at the moment. And I think we are about to go into the last lap of the race. Well, I think it's penultimate lap, actually. One more time around, and then we'll be on the last lap as Darren Constant, for the second time, gets out of the way. This time, James Coleman has no difficulties getting past him at the Real Radio hairpin. The gap is tighter than it was, but it's still too big to consider the victory, really, for James Coleman. But that third place finish at Oulton Park puts him back in contention for the title fight, and if he just continues to hassle Adam Southgate through the course of the season, I'm sure he's going to get him beaten. Now, that is Porter slowing. What is Porter slowing for? Has he got a mechanical problem? Because that's not just moving over to let the leaders go through. That's a mechanical gremlin, if ever I've seen one. So Andrew Porter, all sorts of technical problems with his car then. James Coleman again closes up on Adam Southgate. Up the Sayat curves once again, and this time by, I think Adam Southgate is going to start the final lap. A really exciting battle for Southgate in the lead of the race in front of James Coleman as they come up and over the crest. We are on the last lap here, so Southgate will need to get past Carl Rossin fairly smartly, because James Coleman's closing up on him under braking. Boy, he's taken a lot of time out of him as James Coleman. If this race had 3 or 4 more laps, there is a definite chance Coleman could be the man on the top step. Kevin Molyneux's third. I didn't see where he got past Lawrence, but Molyneux's in P3, and now Nick Hull's going for the move on Gary Lawrence. Down the straight into the braking zone. Nick Hull's going to get him surely. Yes, beautifully done. Gary Lawrence, I think, has got a mechanical problem, because Nick Hull has got well and truly away. Hull's dropped it on the exit. Oh, Nick! 4th position was guaranteed and nailed on. Oh, Nick, what a shame. Well, the finish of the race is going to be quite a tight one between Southgate and Coleman. Coleman's going to give it absolutely everything to the flag, but Nick Hull, sadly, is out of contention for 3rd place. It's going to be Southgate who wins it just in front of Coleman, but one more lap, and that race could have been very interesting indeed for the 00. It's a win for Southgate. Coleman 2nd. Great race, great battle at the front, and I'm hoping that that's the battle we get all season long between those two. 3rd place, Kevin Molyneux from Gary Lawrence and Nick Bartz. Porter is 6th in the end, a lap down from Kevin Ludford. And then Nick Hull and Christian Young are retirements, so Hull never got that car going again. Fastest laps for Southgate and for Philip Waters, who won the 924 race, ahead of Gavin Johnson from Carl Rossin and Darren Constant in 3rd and 4th. Great racing at Knockhill.
Adam, a really tough beginning of the race there, those first few laps with James behind you, right up until you got the back markers.
Yeah, absolutely. James did a fantastic race, and I was into that first corner. I was having to defend every single lap from him. Luckily, I think I just cut a slightly cleaner line through the back markers, and that built me a bit of a gap. But the pressure wasn't off. That was a flat-out race. Awesome, really fun.
James, we were putting quite a bit of pressure on Adam there at the start, but it seemed like traffic kind of got in the way.
Yeah, no, we were very similar on pace all weekend, so I knew it was going to be a tough race. I was on the outside of the track, so I knew turn 1, I needed to tuck behind Adam, stop anyone else coming up the inside. Give him a bit of pressure, but there's not many places to pass here, so 924s held us up a little bit, so Adam got away, then they held him up, and I caught him back up, so really good race, great circuit.
Cars are lining up for race 2 in the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. Philip Waters, pole position for the 924s. Adam Southgate on pole position for the Boxsters, but the really interesting bit is Gary Lawrence. 4th place yesterday in the Boxsters, but having to start from the back of the grid due to changing his car because it was down on power. So we'll see if he comes through the grid. It's going to be a really, really interesting race. It's over now to Jake Sanson to take you through the rest of the grid.
Well, what that means is that Gary Lawrence will be going through the field like wildfire. Adam Southgate on pole from James Coleman, Molyneux and Bartz on the 2nd row, from Porter and Ludford on the 3rd, Nick Hull, Christian Young and Gary Lawrence in 9th. Then it's Philip Waters and Gavin Johnson on the front row once again for the 924s, with Carl Rossin and Darren Constant in the field once again. So that charge down to the rear radio hairpin should be an interesting one. Clearly we've got a big battle on our hands. Southgate, Coleman, Nick Hull, Kevin Ludford and Kevin Molyneux, all with camera cars. And away we go. Lights out here at Knockhill. Down to the final hairpin, the first corner. I can't quite get used to saying that. Not the greatest of starts for Ludford. Not a bad getaway from Lawrence, changing his car, having to start from the back. But now it's going to be side by side through the hairpin. Can Coleman keep it all the way round the outside? No, he has to hang back. We're on board with Waters. Not the greatest of starts for him. He's got both Johnson and Rossin in front of him as they head up towards his stops for the first time in this second race. Here comes Lawrence, trying to make his way through on the inside. No, sorry, that is the 169 of Bartz. My apologies. So Lawrence is behind these guys. We've got Kevin Molyneux making his way through up the road. This is Nick Hull we're on board with. And now here is the chance for Gary Lawrence to come through in the 93. He's already made light work of Christian Young as they come over the S's. Here's an opportunity for Christian Young to come through on Gary Lawrence. Can he get there? Lawrence really doggedly making sure he keeps Christian Young at bay as they come up through the set curves. And look, this is the championship battle. Southgate versus Coleman. I want this to be the way it is all season long as these two doggedly battle for position. Up and over the top. Let's see if there's going to be a really strong run from around the outside here for Coleman. He's been brave using that outside line of the hairpin. It's not an overtaking move. What it is an intimidation move. He knows that Southgate's going to be hard to pass. He wants to see if he can force Adam Southgate into a mistake. Well, Southgate will admit and be one of the first to admit that 2017 there were a few mistakes. But this year he's been working very hard to make sure he doesn't make any at all. A quick flick of the dirt there suggests that there is still a window of opportunity for James Coleman to find in terms of a pressure cooker. So is this race going to be about James Coleman pushing Adam Southgate all the way in the hope that there's an error? It's certainly a great battle at the moment. impossible to take our eyes off these two. I think this is going to be the form book for 2018. Coleman, a great run out of the Seat curves. We're on board with Philip Waters. This is the battle for third place. Or he is third place, I should say, trying to get into second place in the 924 class. That's Carl Rossin in front of us. Up through the Seat curves and onto the main straight once again. This is a good run from Waters. Lining up Carl Rossin to try and come through. Back with the leaders in the Boxster class. Very close indeed this is between Southgate and Coleman. Up through Hislops and up towards Clark's. This is going to be a really interesting charge. Can Coleman get Southgate on pure pace? Southgate twitches through Clark's. Has lost a bit of time there. Catches it well. But Coleman is definitely giving Southgate a lot of pressure as they come into the chicane. And Coleman is doing an absolutely amazing job to close up on Southgate. There's not enough room to carry the speed and get by just on pure pace. But Coleman is definitely giving Southgate a lot of pressure. If he gets it right through the Seat curves, he could be in the lead by the time they get to the hairpin. Up the power they come. Over the crest and the finish line. And is there going to be a whiff of a gap? Southgate's not going to give him any space at all. Here comes Coleman round the far side. Is he going to make the move through? He's going to back out and try and get the switch back. Southgate's wise to it. Brilliant racing between these two. I really want this to keep going all year long. So Coleman giving Southgate plenty of pressure. Through Hislops and up towards Clark's. Lots of curve on the way in. Bit of curve on the way through the corner as well. That's Waters now in front of Rossin. Didn't see where he got through, but he's into second place. So it looks like it's going to be 1-1 for Waters and Johnson. Oh, Waters struggling to get in the gears there on the way out of the hairpin. Is that going to be enough for Rossin to come through? He was right behind him by a few car lengths back. I'm not sure he's been able to get quite close enough to make that way through. So Waters is okay for the moment. There is Rossin in third position. Having driven these cars myself, I can tell you they are a lot of fun to play with, the 924 class. These cars really, really enjoyable, and anybody who's ever had a go in one has come out of it at the end of it saying, I enjoyed that, really, really good fun. Now Coleman's had to back down a little bit from Southgate, and I think he's coming at him again, trying to give himself a little bit more space to do so, because if he can pick him at the right point, he's got enough momentum at various points on the circuit to just switch by. We've got traffic coming up. That is the 43 of Darren Constant in front of them, the 42, sorry, I should say, of Darren Constant. Up and over the curbs of the chicane, and Coleman very, very much in command of himself there. He's got plenty of pace and really good speed. As, Southgate just catching Constant at the wrong place. He's lost a lot of the time he had. This time, Coleman passes Darren Constant on the circuit without having a very near miss. He's already had a couple of incidents this year, not of his own making, understandably. But James Coleman still pressurising Adam Southgate. This race is going to be won and lost in the traffic. It's as simple as that as they come through the hairpin. Back on the power. Down the short stretch towards Hislops. You're on the power all the way through this, flat on the throttle. This incredible 1.2 mile circuit here in Fife in Scotland. A fantastic arena for motorsport. And while it doesn't get necessarily the same credence and credit as some of the other circuits in Great Britain, just look at the scenery around us. We are in the absolute picturesque, majestic views of Scotland. It's a wonderful circuit, Knockhill. And I've been longing to commentate on racing from it for the entirety of my motorsport career. Thanks to the Porsche Championship. This is my first Knockhill commentary, and I'm loving it thus far. There's the 33. That is Porter running in front of Nick Hull. We're on board with the number 4 now. Easy to spot Nick Hull from a distance because of the Union flag on the car. And they're both now in pursuit of the man ahead of them. That's Kevin Molyneux. Dolly Molly. Anybody who wants to know where that nickname comes from, well, ask his daughter, who's a very good singer. And every time Kevin tries to sing, it doesn't quite turn out the same way, let's put it that way. But he's got a bit of a Dolly Parton obsession, hence the name Dolly Molly. So back on the power. Porter, Nick Hull, and behind them, I think that is Gary Lawrence. We'll double check as they come through, but obviously Gary Lawrence still trying to make up time, having to swap cars, which is why he's at the back of the grid, because you're allowed to do that over the course of a weekend. If your car is not feeling well and you've got another car at your disposal, you can change your car through the weekend, but basically if you decide to do that, then you will be impeded. Back to the back of the grid. Molyneux made a mistake there coming out of Butcher's, and that's definitely giving Porter and Hull an opportunity to close up. So now there could be a change for third position here. Porter's got Molyneux very well lined up. Is he going to make the move, or Molyneux's going to send him to the right-hand side? Molyneux still there to the inside line. Well defended. Good job, Kevin. Really well defended there. And now Nick Hull is very close indeed. Oh, Darren Constant. Somebody's hit him. Somebody's hit Darren Constant there. Now, I'm not sure whether that's somebody trying to lap him or... Well, I didn't see who it was, but somebody has clouted Darren Constant, unfortunately. Let's have a look at it again. Well, that looked to me like one of the Boxsters. Again, I didn't see who it was, but Darren Constant's been pitched into a spin there. And now we've got the leaders coming through. Third position battle, that is Nick Hull, trying to get one over on the two men in front. That's Molyneux in third, Porter fourth, Hull in fifth. Yellow flags, the safety car, safety car, safety car. Okay, so basically they have adjudged that Darren Constant's car is in too vulnerable a position and he can't get it started. So there is the Honda Civic safety car. And Adam Southgate's lead over James Coleman is evaporated. Great news for James Coleman. Terrible news for Adam Southgate. He really didn't want to have to deal with that. This is Darren Constant's car. Stationary at the side of the road, and absolutely he's in a dangerous position there at Scotsman's Corner. So good call from the officials to bring out the safety car there. James Coleman now needs to be very, very, very concentrated on that restart, because he's got a genuine chance now to win the race, and he knows it. So he's got to be very focused on how he deals with Adam Southgate on the restart. We're on board with Kevin Molyneux. He's now caught up to the two in front, of course, thanks to the safety car. Porter's in fourth. You can see, look, he's had a knock or two. It looks as though the right rear bumpers are a tiny bit loose there, maybe. Could be wrong. Darren Constant, meanwhile, they've got the car fired up, and he has been able to get his car started again. Is that lights out on the safety car? Yes, it is, and Adam Southgate is backing the field up. He wants to get a good rhythm early. I think he's going to drop the hammer from the Scotsman corner. But he's just boxing them in. He's just winding up James Coleman a little bit, just trying to sense, when am I going to go for it? I think James Coleman thought that Southgate was going to go for it from there. I think he twitched on the throttle a little bit and caught out Coleman. I think he's going to go on the throttle from here. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Now he's going to bolt it. And he has indeed. Oh, no, he's not. He's waited a moment. Now he's bolted. So Southgate absolutely determined to catch out James Coleman, and I think he has a little bit. To some extent, he's really caught in napping. So that's given them about a 4-car length advantage there. Adam Southgate has got away from James Coleman, and that could be enough to win the race. Molyneux is in there in third place still. Porter, Hull, Bartz, Young and Lawrence up the inside. Is that a move from Bartz? Not quite. He's not been able to make the move there. Young, Lawrence and Ludford are still in position. And then it's Gavin Johnson leading the way in the 924s. There's Nick Hull. Union flag on the bonnet and the bumper. He's chasing after the man in fourth position. That is Andrew Porter. A bit of a twitch through the corner, but well collected there from Porter. You can just feel the car snapping away. But once you get that, you don't panic. You just come off the throttle. You allow the car to drift out, and you should be able to catch the car back with a little bit of power. And he's done that beautifully. Johnson leading the way in the 924s. That's Waters in second, Rossin in third, and fourth is Darren Constant. Look at how much Coleman has done work on Southgate through this lap. He's got a great exit out of the centre curves too. They're going to be side by side as they get to the first corner. I nearly said final corner. Here they come around the far side. Coleman again, just going the long way round. Now trying to get the cut back on Southgate. But Southgate knows that he's going to be there. Now, Nick Bartz in fifth position is getting very, very heated on the back of Andrew Porter, trying to come through for fourth position. Good bit of racing between these two as they continue to charge forward. But Kevin Molyneux hanging on to that third position for dear life. He wants his first podium of the 2018 season. And up and over he comes once again. And is that a chance for Nick Hull to get past Bartz? He did run wide. Christian Young's coming through as well. This is going to be an interesting one as they come through down the main straight. Hull, I think, has left enough of a gap for Young to go for. Young is going to put his car on the inside line there. He's going to run out of chances to brake. God, he almost goes into the side door of Bartz. Goodness me. And further up the road, we've got those two side by side for third place, Porter and Molyneux. Porter's trying to come through to third position into his lops. Oh, this is even better than the lead battle. And somehow Molyneux holds on in front of Porter for the moment. Then it is Bart, then it is Young, and then it's Nick Hull in 7th place. Molyneux again having to defend. Big start from Porter, who just looks so fast out of the corners here. Up and over the curbs of the S's. And down the drop, through Butchers, and then up towards Scotsman's corner. Well held by Molyneux. Still, the 33 of Porter absolutely determined to come through. Now, with these two holding each other up, this is giving Nick Bartz a great chance in 5th position to close up. Young's not far behind Bartz either, so this is going to be a terrific squabble for the final spot on the podium as they charge over the crest once again. Brilliant stuff, really exciting battles as they come through once again. Round the far side, Porter trying to come through to no avail. Now he's going to get a good exit. Molyneux's going to move to cover. Porter slots back into position. Looks left, looks right. Nothing that Porter can do to get by. Molyneux is defending beautifully at the moment. And this just tightens up the battle because we've got 5th place in there, that's Nick Bartz. 6th place in there, that's Christian Young. And 7th place in there, that's Nick Hull. Bartz has a go now at Porter. He senses he might get a chance into the S's, has to back out of it. And that gives Young a chance to have a go at him. Terrific concertinaing effect here in the Porsche Championship as they continue to battle away. Molyneux, Porter, Bartz, Young, Hull. Terrific stuff from these 5. Porter trying to go the long way round at the set curves. Is he going to get through to 3rd position? He commits to it. The backhand steps out and he's lost it. Oh, and I think 2 of them took to the grass, Molyneux and Bartz. Now, has Young got the momentum to get through into 3rd position? He is going to try and go for 4th. Molyneux's through. Look, that's Lawrence. They're lapping Lawrence. He's got mechanical problems. So that is Young through into 4th place. And is that Hull through to 5th round the outside of Bartz? Yes, it is. Good driving from Nick Hull. He's in 5th position. So Young, through all of that, benefits and moves up into P4. Good move from Young. But a real shame there for Andrew Porter. 3rd position. That was a really good chance to get through. But that inside line, he just stepped over the bump at the wrong part of the circuit. And it spit the car out. Here comes Bartz up the inside for Hull. Get back into 5th position. Hull's got to concede that one. Brilliant racing. Oh, and that's a spin for Bartz. Bartz has spun it. On the way off of the chicane, Bartz has spun it. Now, where's Nick Hull? Oh, he's still there, so he did manage to avoid it. But, oh my word, tensions and pressures very hot at the moment. Double waved yellows because we've got Andrew Porter's car still off the circuit. But that already up front, we've had the 2 cars come through. All of that action happened. We didn't even see the leaders come across the line. Southgate taking the victory. Coleman in 2nd place for the 2nd race in succession. Here's Waters through. There it is. That was the replay of Southgate taking the finish line. So there we go. Southgate winning from Coleman. Molyneux in 3rd place in the end from Christian Young. Great drive from him. Nick Hull in 5th from Bartz, Ludford and Gary Lawrence, with Andrew Porter sadly retiring from the race as we saw. Gavin Johnson leading the way from Philip Waters, Carl Rossin in 3rd place, and Darren Constant in P4. Fantastic 2nd race at Knockhill. The championship's on.
Oulton was a tough round, so it was nice to come in and bounce back. I got pole and Phil beat me to the punch yesterday and won the race by half a second, I think. So I waited for the cameras to go out today and beat him. So yeah, very happy.
Phil, it was a tough battle there with Gavin.
Yeah, it was great. In fact, you know, I had an easy win yesterday, to be honest, and today was just so much fun. Because, I mean, all I want to do is have a really good punch-up, nice and clean, and that's what that young boy gave me.
Carl, certainly looked like you enjoyed your race out there, and congratulations on 3rd place.
Yeah, it was hard out there. We were trying a slightly different setup on this race from yesterday, and everything was going swimmingly till the restart, where it just locks up coming down into the first hairpin, and it was, oh my god. So, but and after that, flat spotted the tyres. That was it. So it was great up till that point. But you know, it's a fantastic circuit. So you know, what's not to like, really?
The cars are forming up to go out for the final race here at Knockhill in the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. Lawrence is on pole position because of the reverse grid split. Adam, you've run the first 2 races. Can you make it 3 out of 3?
Hopefully we'll see. It's going to be a busy reverse grid. Not a lot of places to pass around here, so the first lap's going to be critical. I know Coleman's hungry for it, but let's see what we can do.
Well, we hope you have all the best out there. Look forward to speaking to you at the end of the race. Jake Sanson, it's over to you to take us through the rest of the grid.
Well, this could be one of the toughest reverse grids in the championship's history here at Knockhill. Lawrence and Ludford on the front row of the grid, Bart's and Hull on the second, Young and Molyneux on row 3 from James Coleman, Adam Southgate and Andrew Porter, who retired from race 2. Rossin and Waters are on the front row for this one with Gavin Johnson. No Darren Constant, unfortunately. He's not going to be able to make the restart for technical difficulties. Kevin Ludford on the front row of the grid is going to be really struggling here off the line. Away we go. Look at Southgate and Coleman already starting to make progress as they come through. We're on board with Molyneux. That's Ludford in with us. Gary Lawrence leading the way in the all-black Porsche at the lead of the race. Hull trying to come through for second. Molyneux through for third. So that's a really good start. Ludford is going to drop to 4th position. Make that 5th, make that 6th, make that 7th. Goodness me, Ludford swamped on the exit of the hairpin there. And Coleman and Southgate were definitely through in that. And look, Coleman is in front of Southgate. Now that is critical, not just for the race but for the championship, because Coleman really wanted to take some points away from Southgate. He's already in front of the 45, so that's really important. So through come the 924s, Waters in the lead, Johnson second, Ross in third. It could well stay that way to the flag, or there might be a few more changes. But the Boxster battle is definitely going to be heated throughout. But Southgate behind Coleman is very important. That's Christian Young in front of Bart's as they come up through the Sayat curves once again. We're on board with Southgate. Now, this is all about how James Coleman deals with the drivers in front of them. Molyneux goes to the pit wall, so Coleman may have a chance to go through on the inside. That's Carl Rossin trying to close up on Johnson. Hull is going for the lead on Lawrence, and Coleman is going for third on Molyneux. So Hull's through into the lead, Coleman's through into third. Southgate tried to get past Molyneux as well, has to hang back a little bit. And look, that has definitely put a bit of space between Coleman and Southgate. So now Coleman is going for a move on Lawrence. That's a brave overtaking place into Hislop's, and he's made it stick. Well, I knew James Coleman was good. I didn't know he was that good. Goodness me, that was a brave overtake. Lawrence now, he can defend here from Molyneux and Southgate, no problem at all here. He can, of course, because this is a race situation. They are racing for position. Never mind the fact that Southgate and Coleman have been faster than them through the weekend. They are racing, so he has absolutely no obligation to move over and let the slower cars, faster cars through. This is Southgate trying to get on terms with Molyneux as he comes up and over the final turn. Now we're going to get a change for the lead, are we? Coleman going for Nick Hull. He goes right round the outside. Hull is defending like crazy. If Coleman spends too long trying to take this lead away from Hull, it could compromise his race hopes. So he wants to get on with it quickly. That is Lawrence defending from Molyneux, and Southgate can't get by. Here comes Southgate. This is Molyneux, trying to come past. Lawrence doesn't have the straight line speed. Coleman tries again on the inside of Hislop's. Hull is not going to let him through easily. Watch out, Nick! Careful! Goodness me! Tripping over the curbs there and almost ending up in the kitty litter. That's enough for Coleman to have a go, but Nick Hull is not going to let him through. Goodness me, Coleman sliding around all over the place now. We're on board with Southgate. Tucked up behind the man in 4th place. That's Kevin Molyneux. Ahead of us is Gary Lawrence. Up and over the Sayat curves. These three are losing time to each other. Bart's is not far away. Watch Southgate! He's going to hug the pit wall and move up into 3rd place. He's going to overshoot past both Lawrence and Hull, and no doubt at all there. Past Hull for the lead goes Coleman. So Coleman now leads, Hull 2nd. Southgate round the outside of Lawrence. It was, not Hull, my apologies. Lawrence is 4th, Molyneux is 5th, Southgate's up into 3rd place. Terrific racing, and that's what we love about the 3rd race of the weekend. The reverse grid race is always spectacular. Now it's Molyneux getting squeezed by Lawrence. Oh dear, that almost ended in tears. Now Molyneux's got a chance to come back up the inside. Lawrence moves to protect it. Molyneux swings to the right in the hope to try and switch back. Terrific racing. Now we're going to leave these 4 for dead in the battle for 4th position by the look of it, the leaders. Lawrence in 4th, Molyneux 5th. 6th position there is still Bart's, and then 7th place is Young. We're on board with Southgate. He's caught up to Nick Hull. Hull's going to defend. 2nd position. He wants to finish here. Southgate is not going to resist. Up the inside, and he's going to take that 2nd place. Good move from Southgate. Now the race really is on. Coleman's hit the front. Southgate's got to 2nd as Lawrence again defends from Molyneux. The race is now about whether Southgate can catch and then pass Coleman. Molyneux's got a good run up the straight there towards Hislop's. This is Southgate being chased by Nick Hull. Molyneux again on Lawrence. Lawrence again shuts the door. Plenty of time left in this race, of course. We're only in the early stages, so that's pretty impressive to see how Coleman and Southgate got themselves up to first and second. That's a bit of a problem for Young, I think. Young's got a mechanical problem because Porter's gone straight through. And Porter is faster than Young at the moment, but he's certainly not that faster over one lap. So I wonder if maybe did Young miss a gear, or has he got a mechanical problem? Something like that. Anyway, Waters, Johnson and Rossin. That's the 924 battle, and they are still together on track. They go up towards the John R. Weir chicane. No problems at all for Phil Waters in the lead. Johnson in second, Rossin in third. Still they battle away. Just watching these cars makes me itch to get back in one. They are fantastic, and I'm very grateful to the PDC Racing team for who Gavin Johnson drives, for giving me that opportunity at Oulton Park last year. Kevin Molyneux trying to go past Lawrence. He's flirting with the white line on the far side to make it happen. There's not a lot of room, but he's going to make it happen. Kevin Molyneux through in a P4. Good move. Oh, I tell you what, Dolly Molly really on it at the moment there in P4. Lawrence is in danger of losing 5th position as well. I think Nick Bartz is trying to come around the outside. And a good move there from Bartz, but he hasn't been able to make the place up. So he's still pushing for it. Gary Lawrence in the 93 from Nick Bartz in the 169, and he needs to get on with it because he's got Andrew Porter right behind him in the 33 trying to make up for the spin off the circuit in race 2. So Porter still pushing hard in 7th position trying to chase after these guys, but Nick Hull has got a lot of distance between himself and this battle, so 3rd position looks like it could be on the cards for Nick Hull. Porter's going to make a late dive to the inside of Bartz. You've got to commit, you've got to commit! He bails out of it. Goodness me, that was very close to contact, but well played by Andrew Porter for deciding at the last minute, no, I'm coming out of it. And there's Christian Young. Well, I did say it was a mechanical problem that put Porter so quickly in front of him. Christian Young's had a miserable weekend on that score. 4th place in race 2, but then 2 mechanical problems in the other 2 races. He would have scored a lot of points from this weekend had it not been for that. Hopefully they'll get the car repaired in time for the next round, but that's frustration. Big star for Christian Young. Gavin Johnson now chasing down Phil Waters for the lead in the 924s. Good racing between these two this weekend. They've got a win apiece. Who's going to get the 3rd one? Waters through the left-hander at Clark's. No major problems at the moment for him. Ticking over nicely. Getting some good racing under their belts. And here is Coleman versus Southgate. Southgate's caught up to James Coleman. So now Southgate is looking for a way to intimidate Coleman. Coleman just needs to ignore Southgate completely, focus on his own race. But this is interesting. Now the hunted becomes the hunter, as Adam Southgate chasing down James Coleman in exactly the reverse role. So Coleman is now leading, trying to get his first win of the season. He put off some fantastic drives in 2017. I'm really hoping that these two will be the hammer and tongs rivals of 2018. Looks like we've got 2 more hammer and tongs rivals in 2018. Phil Waters and Gavin Johnson in the 924 class. So Johnson hoping to take the title in 2018. It's not been the easiest of starts, with Rick Styron picking up both the victories at Oulton Park. Here comes Southgate. Can he make it a hat-trick? He's got to find a way past James Coleman to do it. 4 wins in 4 races for Adam Southgate, but James Coleman is absolutely irate. He needs to come through and get his first victory to stop that deadlock, to stop that dominant streak. We saw it from Ed Hayes last year. Eventually drivers started to take victories off him, but the lead was already so strong that he couldn't be caught in the championship fight. But Adam Southgate determined to keep his clean sweep of victories going and get one over on James Coleman. But after the frustrations of Oulton Park, Coleman will want more than anything to finish his race weekend with a victory here at Knockhill. Up and over Butchers and into Scotsman's Corner, and then up towards the Sayat curves, the right and the left, uphill, flat on the throttle as a result of it. You've got to be so careful on the way through though, because it's uphill, it's crested, and of course there are a lot of bumps at that part of the circuit, so going downhill when it's a clockwise configuration is tough enough. Going uphill anti-clockwise is really tough. Southgate's going to slingshot out. Coleman moves to cover. Well, that's going to happen a few times in this race before we get the checkered flag, because these guys are really going to have to concentrate now. Southgate chasing after Coleman. Really good battles, really exciting stuff as Porter once again has a go at Lawrence, trying to find a way to come through. Really intense battles between these two as they come through. We're in the closing stages, only a couple of minutes left of the action as Porter again doggedly tries to come through on Lawrence. Really exciting stuff as Porter, he just keeps on trying to find that little extra bit of gap to make his way through on the inside. Hasn't been very easy for him to achieve as up the inside. That is Coleman still defending from Southgate. Southgate is doing exactly to Coleman what Coleman did to Southgate in races 1 and 2. He's just not been able to find the width of the gap to come through. Once again through Hislops. Can Southgate make a way through? He's going to try for it this time. Oh, Coleman beautifully moves the cover. Southgate shut down. They'll come through Clark's. Oh, he's got an opportunity there on the far side. This might be his only chance to come through. He squeezes him through to the far side. They're never going to fit two cars through, and Southgate has to back out of it. Well, surely that is the race won for Coleman, but my word, he really gave it gusto as much as he possibly could. And I have to say, full credit to Adam Southgate, because even James Coleman wasn't that brave in race 1 and 2, but Southgate was so determined. I want the hat-trick. I want all 3 wins. He was pushing it right to the death. So now we are getting into the final couple of laps of this race, and I don't think that's a big enough. I think that's too big a gap for Southgate to close up on James Coleman. Although having said that, he's already taken a good 2 or 3 car lengths out of him just in the braking zone. That's Nick Bartz behind them, having just been into the pits with mechanical problems. That's Nick Hull side by side with Kevin Molyneux. Hull throws it up the inside. Dolly Molly's going to try and get the undercut. Look at this, he's going to try and get the throttle back. But Nick Hull, very, very good on the defence is Nick Hull. This is for 3rd position. Molyneux's going to try and find that inside line at Hislops. Hull's going to move to cover. He's already a little alongside. He can't shut the door completely. Oh, they rub bumpers there as Nick Hull holds on to 3rd place. Kevin Molyneux still trying to come through into P3. This is exciting stuff. Really good battles between them. And Molyneux's overshot. He's on the curbs. He's on the grass. Oh, Kevin, bring it back, mate. Dear, oh dear, Kevin Molyneux just caught the grass and the white line on the far side, and that got the car unsettled. So that's 3rd place gone, I'm afraid, Kevin. Unless Nick Hull throws it off the road, and he doesn't do that too often. Here in the hairpin we are once again, as Southgate closes up on James Coleman. It's now or never really for Southgate, but we know he's got the stones to try and make the move. But I'm not sure that Coleman is going to give him a chance to get there. This is the last lap, so Southgate's got to make this happen now. They come up through the curbs. This is where he tried to and then had to back out of it. But I think James Coleman's got him. It's not going to be the clean sweep for Adam Southgate. James Coleman, oh, careful, James! Chucking it in there through the John R. Weir chicane. That was very nearly a repeat of his rodeo drive a little bit earlier on. But James Coleman is going to get his first win of 2018, and that gets his championship battle underway in earnest. Through they come, out of the final turn, and James Coleman has taken a victory out of Adam Southgate this weekend. That keeps the championship alive and kicking. Great stuff, and a great battle. Brilliantly done there from Coleman. He takes the victory from Southgate. Nick Hull hangs on for 3rd place in front of Kevin Molyneux. Gary Lawrence is 5th from Andrew Porter and Nick Bartz, with retirement, sadly, for mechanical problems from Ludford and Young. In the 924s, it is Waters who hangs on for 2 out of 3, ahead of Gavin Johnson and Carl Rossin. The championship really is on with that win from James Coleman.
James, top step at last. You've managed to break Adam's victory run.
It's been tough doing so. We both started on the back row. We knew it wouldn't be long till we got through. I was just praying I got through before Adam, because I didn't want to be stuck behind him again. And to be honest, he was pushing all the way, but it's so difficult to get past it, as I know. So I knew it wasn't going to happen. A little move here and there stopped him coming past, and it was completely under control, to be honest.
Adam, that was tough for you, really, from the word go right the way through to the end of the race.
It really was, yeah. So fun getting through the pack. I think by lap 3 or 4 managed to get up to 2nd place, then chasing down James. And yeah, as we found the first 2 races, it's really difficult to pass here. I gave it everything, every single corner. Trying to spook him out down the bottom, but yeah, no dice. Good win for James.
Nick, great to see you on the podium again. Brilliant race out there, very tough.
Yeah, it was. It was great fun. The car sort of went off towards the end. I was really trying to keep my foot in, not making any mistakes. The tyres were going off, the brakes were going off, but you know, I managed it. Kev was coming up on me quickly. I was just trying to keep it neat and tidy and keep him behind me till the end.
Well, that wraps up the action from Knockhill, where the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship has been a guest race on the TCR calendar. Hope to see you next time out, where the action takes place from Cadwell Park.